How you doing?
Oh, what's up, man? How are you?
So, you said Indians stink, right? So I stink?
There's a high likelihood you probably didn't put on deodorant today, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have a problem. I don't consider myself a liberal. I believe in things like free markets and things like that. Would
Sure.
you consider yourself like a man of ethics? Like you have an ethical code that you abide by, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, bro
Right.
code,
No, I mean like you talk a lot about the atrocities in Gaza and things of that
Yeah.
nature. So you have an ethical code, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So my thing here is, I think, because of social media, because of this thing, you have a huge class of just lonely, depressed men out there, basement dwelling, Redditors. You get the picture, right? And, I believe in free markets. There is profit to be made here, right? You go on social media, you engagement farm, you get a bunch of people on your side. But I'm saying if you stick to an ethical code, I still do believe that there is such thing as, there is a manliness problem. Yes. Do I think men should pay for a woman's meal, all those kinds of things? Of course. But, why don't we look towards the actual definition of manliness? Why don't we look towards greats like Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius? He began every day by meditating. Why don't we look at Buddha, who, came up with this idea of taking accountability for yourself, right? So whether or not you believe Jews control the world or women should be eradicated or whatever you believe.
Well, I never said that. Hold on.
I know you never said that. I'm sorry. I'm slipping up with my words. But I'm just saying, regardless of what you believe, don't you think we as men should say, no, it is within my control? Something so great about this country that most of the millionaires in this country are self-made. So my question is, it's like you're funding, this theory that a lot of males subscribe to, putting blame on other things. And I'm not here to debate whether or not that's true. I'm just saying we as men should take accountability for our own actions.
Yeah, so when it comes to the problems that, face men, it's not about blaming other things. It's about identifying problems so that you can deal with it properly, right? So when it comes to male authority like you're discussing here, I'm all for that. I actually don't think women should work. I think men should be focusing on having families, being the breadwinners, taking care of the woman. She focuses on the children. However, we need to be able to identify the problems and the obstacles that keep men from doing that. And one of the big ones is feminism, which was a huge lie. And the problem is that men are held to a standard where they're expected to be chivalrous, they're expected to be the authority, the protectors and providers, but these bitches don't want to make sandwiches. And it's fucking ridiculous. Because you can't give someone authority, right? Well, you can't give someone responsibility without that said authority. So my problem is that not necessarily that men need to man up, which they do. I say this all the time on my show. Guys need to stop being bums and fat and losers and, stop being, they need to start being competent. But the reality is that most women simply don't respect most men, and women are taught to do whatever they want to do and not respect the male's authority, but he's still held to a standard versus she isn't. So in other words, he's expected to be a gentleman and do his part as a guy. She's not expected to be a lady. And I'm here to identify and tell guys, look, your job is to be the protector and provider, but you can't do that for every single woman, especially a woman that thinks that she's equal to you or within the confinements of an egalitarian relationship. Because the issue is that most women want equality, right? But they still want you to be better than them in every single other way. They want you to be taller, make more money, have more status, etc. But then they don't want to listen to you when you say, make me a sandwich. That's a problem. So it's one or the other. You want me to be the protector provider? You got to follow what I say. But a lot of women don't want to do that.
Right, but there's a difference between identifying a problem and thinking about things that are within your control, right? So, like I said, the Buddha he nonstop talk about that. I mean, you look at statistics all over the world, who are the happiest people? It's not the people on social media. It's not the people who are making Jewish conspiracy theories or whatever the case is. It's the people who are only focused on what they can control. And I think your rhetoric is, okay, yeah, women are a problem, women are to blame, but most of your audience,
well, feminism is one of the main problems.
Sure, feminism, whatever, but I'm saying the most people who are on your Rumble, watching and just spamming W's, they're the one, how can you identify a problem, fix a problem of feminism when you yourself are a basement-dwelling, kind of low-life bum who doesn't really contribute anything to the economy?
Well, no, that's a good question. That's precisely why I do my Money Monday shows. That's why I do my Womanizer Wednesday shows. That's why we do call-ins where people can ask questions, because it's not enough to just identify the problem. We also teach guys this is how you make money. This is how you invest in real estate. This is how you invest in crypto. This is how you invest in index funds in the stock market. So we don't just identify the problem, but we give solutions to said problem. Because I agree with you. Just sitting there complaining and screaming at the clouds like, oh my God, bitches
but
are stupid.
Isn't that what your platform is? It's like I go on your Twitter and it's nothing but just that. Like, well, I get it. Like,
making fun of Jews on Twitter?
Yeah, or
that's
whatever.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I understand it's hilarious and it makes you a lot of money, but I'm saying from an
Actually, I'm demonetized on Twitter.
Okay, it doesn't matter. There's money, there's revenue coming in. So I'm saying from an ethical standpoint, I understand there's profit to be made. Trust me, I love free markets. But I'm just saying, like, from an ethical standard, you're the one who's calling out the atrocities in Gaza, but you're mobilizing a community of people who are kind of just down on their luck. They have nobody but to blame but themselves, and there's just zero accountability. I think that's a huge problem in America. There is zero accountability in men.
If you watch my content, not just the ones where I have girls on or, you know, me talk the political stuff, I tell guys all the time, you got to get in the gym, you got to be competent, you got to stop being a loser, stop crying, stop complaining. Well, I'm actually way harsher on men than I am on women, especially when I do my call-in show and they say, hey, this is where I'm at.
But then how come your poster is not men need to take accountability instead of transgender as a mental awareness, right? You're appealing to these dog whistles. Like, I'm supposed to be here, right? You're supposed to say, oh, there's a high probability I didn't put on deodorant. Like, you know what I'm saying? For you...
Kind of high, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny and it gets engagement. For you, I'm supposed to make a scene. I'm supposed to get all mad and get on my high horse so there's engagement to be made. But I'm not doing that, right? I'm presenting you an argument, and you kind of deflect here. You're deflecting.
No, I'm not deflecting. It's that you're just speaking from a position where you're not totally aware of, you know, the type of content I make. You're saying, hey, look, why don't you put more accountability on guys? And I'm here to tell you I do. Literally, I do. We just did a Money Monday the other day talking about how to pull your budget and make money and keep from being a brokey. And we literally did a whole show on that. Spent like almost 2 hours. It's just that stuff doesn't go viral, right? Like all my self-help stuff doesn't go viral. It's me talking about other things that go viral, but I absolutely do present all that other stuff because I agree with you. Identifying the problem simply isn't good enough. You must come up with solutions, but the problem is that solutions don't go viral.
But
I make a lot of different content. I do true crime, geopolitical stuff, everything, but the stuff that goes viral is the cultural stuff, unfortunately.
But what would you say about, you know, statistically, people who exhibit levels of prejudice, people who are hateful people, 10 on average to have lower IQs? Do you factor that into your assessment of anything?
I'm a bit confused. You're saying so people that are prejudiced have higher IQs?
Lower IQs. They tend to have lower IQs.
I mean...
like, do you think it makes any of your fans money by going around and claiming dancing Israelis when most of us were born past 2001, the war in Iraq is kind of over, and all these sort of things? It's like, it's just...
Oh, you really don't watch my content. Yeah, dude.
Of course I don't watch your content because I wake up in the morning, I do my work.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
But the thing is like I just love how you're like making all these like assumptions and you're totally wrong. That's actually the contrary. I tell people all the time, hide your power level. Don't talk about this shit when you're at school. Don't talk about this shit when you're at work. Don't mention anything when it comes to dealing with women or Jews or anything because I don't want people to get in trouble for this stuff, right? It's cost me millions of dollars.
But how does me believing that Jews control the world, how does that help me with my goal? How does that?
Well, you need to understand the power structure of the United States. If you don't understand who rules over you, then how are you going to figure out how to get power? Like, it's very important to understand who runs our government, how they run it, why they do the things that they do. And it's only probably within the last 2 years or so that people have woken up to Jewish power and Jewish supremacy in the United States, where it's getting us involved in a genocide that's been documented in 4K. I've been talking about this stuff before Gaza, right? But obviously that got me demonetized and created a whole bunch of problems. But it's good now that people are finally seeing where our tax dollars are going and they're seeing how it's manifesting. And it's manifesting in bombs over kids. So that's why I think it's important for people to understand, because if we want to change the structure, we need to identify the problems with the structure and then put those people in positions of power. But they're not going to get those positions of power if they're running around saying, it's the Jews. Like, no, we got to hide our power levels, acquire power, and then take our country back.
All right, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I really wish that you could just level with me, kind of put down the character, and actually understand what goes into it. Because,
yeah, I'm the same guy on and off camera, man. I don't know what really to say here. Like, it is what it is. I just don't.
No, but I'm saying it's just like a politician. There's a profit incentive to be made. You have a large fan base of people. They're on their Discords.
If my goal was to make money, this is the stupidest way to make money, by the way.
I don't think so.
It's absolutely the dumbest way to make money. But dude, if I want to make money,
that's
I would be a progressive. If I wanted to make money, I would be a progressive. I would, talk about feminism being great. I'd be taking a leftist approach to anything, because the problem is that when you're a conservative, especially someone like me, you get banned, you get censored, you get, demonetized. So, I truly do believe this because I've lost millions of dollars doing it, and that.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever it is, it could be money or fame. But like I said, for example, Hakeem Jeffries came here last semester. The only people in his audience were just well-to-do white people, you have a very, very potent and concentrate, fan base that is willing to ride or die for you. That's really powerful.
Yeah, because we're all tired of the country. That's why. Like, we're literally tired of the country. Like right now, like I'll be honest, like right now you're trying to tone police or whatever. This is precisely what I'm rebelling against. Like this whole, well, should men take more accountability? Well, isn't it kind of retarded to talk about the dancing Israelis? Oh, well, isn't it like
I'm just saying it's a waste of time. I'm just saying it's a waste of time.
Yeah, well, I would beg to differ.
Because I think about every morning what is in my control, and what is in my control: going to class, making money, taking care of my family, those sorts of things, right?
Sure.
I'm not going to gain any profit. I'm not going to gain any like enlightenment or anything like that if I'm on my Twitter just looking at a bunch of like Jewish conspiracy theories. That's my
well, not really conspiracy theories, they're true.
Okay, but I'm telling you,
like they're 100%
my
true.
argument is, if I don't really care if or not it's true, that's not my argument. I'm just saying it's just a waste of time. And if you want to maximize your time, I think it's more important to wake up in the morning, stay disciplined.
Acquiring knowledge on female nature and how to navigate the dating marketplace so that you can pick the appropriate wife so she doesn't ruin your life is a waste of time. Figuring out how the United States is run and who actually funds it and who's behind everything is a waste of time. I would disagree. I think that's extremely important and pertinent to people, especially young men, who constantly get lied about how the world really works.
All right, then I guess we get to agree to disagree. But I really appreciate you
No
talking
worries.
to me.
Yeah, no problem,
you have a
man.
good rest of your day.
You too, man. Take it easy. Who's up next?